Welcome to another Lunch and Learn at the Putnam County Library. Today we have the Cookeville chapter of the Tennessee Bluebird Society with us, and they're going to present Bluebirds 101.
Thank you so much to the library for inviting us. We love coming this time of year because the bluebirds are starting to be real active outside. I'm sure you all have seen them. I'm Lynn Maddox. I'm the coordinator for the Cookeville chapter of the Bluebird Society. We have several of our chapter members here with us. Beth Allison is here if you want to wave. She helps collect all the data for the bluebirds in the area. So glad Beth could come, and she put this slideshow together for us. So thank you so much, Beth. John Parker is here he's on the Tennessee Bluebird Society board along with me, and he is the captain of our build team. So he will come up and tell you about the bluebird boxes that the team has built this year. We built 32 new boxes, and so they're available for sale. We sell them for $60 each, and he'll show you about how to monitor your box. Anyway, the other Bluebird Club members, if you want to raise your hand and say hi. Several of them are here, and we have about 30 members right now. I'm glad to have anyone else join our group. We don't meet but once a year in the fall after all the Bluebird statistics are in, but we try to just have gatherings at Cane Creek Park or a park maybe once a month during the season in case there's any problems or you want to visit with each other. So we try to meet out there during the season once a month. So there's our cute little bluebirds, and we're so glad to see them. They winter here, so they're here year round, but we see them more in the spring when they're out. There's two little males, and just so you think about birds that are blue, the eastern bluebird is the one we have in the eastern part of the United States. We also have indigo buntings, blue grosbeaks, blue jays, of course, and then the last one is the tree swallows. So the tree swallows and the bluebirds are the ones that tend to use our boxes. Those are the most prevalent to nest in the boxes. But like with children, you think about, has anybody seen a blue bird? And they all say, yes, but it's a blue jay, or something like that. The bluebirds, but the bluebirds are called bluebirds. These are the other two birds. And the mountain bluebird is in the mountain region, and the western bluebird is in the far coastal regions. But we're real fortunate in our area to have the eastern bluebirds. There's the male and the female. And Tennessee is just a great area for bluebirds. I mean, we have so many. We have great habitat for bluebirds. Not so much in the western part of the state, but the eastern, middle and eastern part has a lot of bluebirds. So we're real fortunate to get to have several in our area. Come on in, there's a chair back here. And bluebirds need our help, so that's how we got involved. They are cavity nesters, they're called, so they need some place to raise their young. Years ago, there were plenty of holes in trees, and woodpeckers would carve out. But with so many trees and forests being leveled for expansion of cities, they've lost their place to nest. So that's how we can help them. Bluebirds are insect eaters. They're not. You won't be attracting bluebirds with a seed feeder. So just keep that in mind. If you, I know a lot of people can't give up their seed feeders, but I try to encourage them, if you can, give them up during April, May, and June. When the bluebirds are nesting, because it might attract other birds that might bother the bluebirds. So just keep that in mind. The Tennessee Bluebird Society this year, and Beth has helped gather all the data for the Tennessee Bluebird Society, and I just thought you'd like to see how many bluebirds were reported. And these are all from 6 chapters in Tennessee. So Cookeville is one of the chapters. There's Cumberland County, there's the Valley chapter, which is Loudon, Tennessee area. There's Shelby County, and there's Elk River, which is south of us, along the Alabama border. But there's 125 trails that actually reported to Beth, collecting the data. And that's like, Cumberland County has so many golf courses, and there's like one trail on each golf course. So there's a lot of trails that have 18, boxes on them in Cumberland County. Ours are, we don't have as many because we don't have as many golf courses that we do here in Cookeville. Backyard monitors, and that's like all of us that have a Bluebird box in our backyard. 166 across the state actually reported. Probably a lot more than that have a Bluebird box, but they didn't, they're not reporting it to the state. So we like as much information as we can get from individuals. This is reporting 1,578 nest boxes, and of those, 5,554 Bluebirds actually fledged. So there were probably more eggs than that were laid, more chicks that hatched, but the number that actually fledged is 5,000, which is great. I mean, it's really good. But some areas you have predators that get in the box, and some chicks don't make it. So, we're thrilled with that number this year. And the variety of birds that use the boxes, eastern bluebirds are the most, and next after that are the tree swallows. Probably about, a fourth of the number of bluebirds. And then the Carolina chickadees, we don't get too many of those, but we love those. And the Carolina wrens have a few of those. There's a few other birds that use the box, but those are the primary birds that we get. This is a Cookeville listing. We had 70 trails, backyard monitors, 25 of us reported our statistics. 120 boxes, and we had 606 new Bluebirds in Putnam County this year. So we're real happy with that. Beth, how do I do this? Do I just push?
I never thought about that. How that works.
Well, this is a video, if we can
Use the mouse.
see it, but
Or the
Mouse.
Don Hazel came to Cookeville and helped us set up the boxes out at Cane Creek Park a few years ago. And when he was there, we took a video of him talking about Bluebird. And Don was the past president of the Tennessee Bluebird Society, and he lives in Crossville, Fairfield Glade. And he's just very enthusiastic and very knowledgeable about bluebirds. I thought you'd enjoy it. If it doesn't, that's fine.
Sometimes playing videos out of PowerPoints gets difficult, but.
I don't know which of these apps I should use.
Well, Don did a great job. Y'all can see him sometimes. Oh, it didn't skip now.
It's not changing up there, but it is.
Technical difficulties. We'll be right back with you with the video. Just a minute.
This is Ciela's website is one one of the best. It has everything you'd ever wanna know about bluebirds. It's cialis.org. And their logo is may all your blues be birds. All right. So for beginners, the most important thing is to get a box that's well constructed, it has a certain size hole, and specifically designed for bluebirds. And John Parker, since he's the captain of our build team, this is John and Claudia and Adrian helping build the boxes. John, you wanna come up and tell them about the boxes? This is his workshop, some of our members help build them. Robert and Clay and Marie are here. Fixing them. And John was just gonna tell you a little bit about the box and some of the characteristics.
One of the things that we strive to do is make every box identical. Every box is exactly the same. Robert and I shared the duties of cutting out all the different pieces, and then we have a little Bluebird nest box party where we all gather together. Whoever wants to, anybody's welcome, and we put the boxes together. These particular boxes, you may look at this and think, well, that's kind of big. Well, the reason why we made it large, taller, the interior dimensions are always the same, but it's made a little taller because there are some people who would like to put a little shelf like this inside the box, and it mounts up in the corner of the roof, and they put a blink camera and put it in, mount it in here, and then they can Bluetooth or whatever. I'm not really all that great about that kind of stuff, but anyway, you can watch they're motion activated, and you can watch the birds come in and out. You can watch the eggs, you can watch the babies, and so forth. It does need to be relatively close to your house though, because of the Wi-Fi. But in any event, the boxes have a little screen inside here that's just below the hole on the interior that allows the baby birds to grasp when it's time to fledge. They can grasp this with their toes and going out the hole. The door is secured, if you have one on your own property, secured with a nail and chain, so you can just pull the nail out and then the box door will open. It's very, very important to, even if you're not involved in monitoring and reporting to Beth and and then the rest of the state and so forth, even if you just have a box that's in your backyard just for your own enjoyment, it's important to monitor the box, because after the baby's fledged, you need to clean the nest out. There's just things that you need to do. Plus, it's a whole lot of fun to watch suddenly 5 eggs are there, and now 3 of them hatched, and now you the babies and all that kind of thing. This here is a predator guard. It wiggles. It is intended to keep snakes, raccoons, house cats, any varmint that would prey on either the adults, the eggs, or the chicks. And of course it's mounted on this pole, and we also, it's not in here, but we use a piece of steel rebar and drive it about a foot into the ground, and then all we have to do at that point is just slide the pole over the rebar, and there's your birdhouse. So they're very sturdy. They'll weather quite well, and we have 7 of these I've brought that are outside in my truck if somebody's interested in purchasing one. But they're very, very nice and should last for a long time. So
Thank you so much.
Sure.
What do they cost? What's the cost?
We're selling these for $60. They're made out of western cedar.
No, this is Eastern cedar, Eastern red cedar.
Eastern, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then we also have, for $25, we have a few boxes that we took out of Cane Creek Park and Dogwood Park when we replaced them with these. And so they'll be $25 because they've been there for 3 or 4 years, but they're still good. They're made out of western cedar, so they'll last a while still. All right. And then just as far as bluebirds, it'd be good not to just buy a box and set it in your yard. Try to learn about them. Try to read about the basics. Get a book on bluebirds, and so that you can monitor and check it. it's important to open the door periodically. We try to check our boxes twice a week, look in there and see what's going on. If it's a wren that started nesting in there, then you can take out the sticks from the wren, so that you'll get a bluebird pretty soon. You can't take out a nest if it's complete and has a nest cup, if it's a wren nest. But you can sweep out the sticks, you know, like every day for a few days to discourage them from nesting in there. That way, if you check it a lot, you'll be able to recognize any problems and you can take appropriate actions. Like one time, when we looked in there, you could tell that there was a bumblebee in there. Well, the bluebirds aren't gonna go in there. There's a wasp nest, a paper wasp nest, or bumblebees, so things like that. Now the killer birds, we call them, are the house sparrows and the house wrens. And the house sparrows are really non-native birds, and they kill bluebirds. They get in the nest and poke the eggs, and they kill the young, attack the adult birds. So they are not protected, and we can destroy them, take out the eggs, sweep out the nest, and we try really hard to keep house sparrows out of the boxes. That's a website that tells about house sparrows and how to manage them. The bluebird nest, what it'll look like, it'll be a very neat nest. We brought some over here for you to actually look at, to see. They're made of grass or pine needles, and the eggs are usually powder blue, sometimes they're white. And there's a picture of the nest with the blue eggs. And then there's some that John had at his house that were white. They look kind of pink there, but if a female lays a white egg, then she'll always have white eggs. So occasionally you'll get one, I think it says 9% of bluebirds have white eggs. So if you see white eggs and no feathers around it, that's still a bluebird. But most of them are blue. John's is the only one I've ever seen in 4 years, doing this. So most of the ones I've seen have been blue. This is a bluebird nest with the baby chicks recently hatched. And they open their beak if they hear any activity, hoping to get some food. And that's as they get bigger. It only takes them 14 days after they hatch to where they can fledge. So it's a very short cycle. Then they really fill up the nest as they get older with lots of feathers. This is the start of a chickadee nest, and see how different it is. It's made of moss at the bottom, and they have a little bit of animal fur in the nest cup that you'll see, but I'm just amazed that those little tiny chickadees can build this huge nest. See, it all goes all the way up almost to that screen. And that's what the Carolina chickadee looks like with both the animal fur on the moss. This is a tree swallow. So if you see a lot of times with really white breast and bluish green feathers, then they love the nest boxes too. And their eggs are white, but they always have feathers in the nest. So if you see one that has feathers, and you're pretty sure that's going to be a tree swallow nest. And they're beautiful too, so we love tree swallows too. A lot of times you'll get a tree swallow, if you have more than one nest at your house, you get a tree swallow in one and a bluebird in the other one. But bluebirds have to be 100 yards apart. So if you have 2 nests in your house, put one in the backyard and one in the front, or something in between, or try to think a football field length would be a good distance apart. Sometimes the female does not leave the nest. So this was one we had at Hope Park, and when I opened the box, a lot of times the female just won't leave, especially when they're that little. She'll just be over on the side, and there she is. She lets me look and take a picture, but she doesn't leave. Now this is the Carolina wren on the top. You see the white streak on their eye, and then the house wren that's the vicious one is on the bottom. It's more of a solid brown, and then those are what the eggs look like there. Carolina wrens don't bother the bluebirds, but both of them would use the box. We just don't get very many Carolina wrens, and we're trying to keep the house wrens out of the boxes. So if you see twigs, they start with these little twigs, and you can just sweep out those twigs every day and discourage them from nesting. Let them nest somewhere else, but don't let them nest in your box. And this is a dummy wren nest. See that they'll go around and fill up all your boxes with twigs, but they don't use it for a nest. They're just trying to keep everybody else from using it, out. So that's called a dummy wren nest. That's what it looks like. And this is the dreaded house sparrow. The male you probably see with a bib. It has the black bib. And you see them more like at McDonald's. They're eating all the scraps on the pavement, and then the female looks like that. And they have a terribly messy nest. They fill up the whole box with all this junk, plastic, lots of stuff in there. So, and these are not protected. So you can just take out that whole nest, smash the eggs. Some people set a trap to kill the sparrows when they go in. We really wish they hadn't been brought over from England, because they are hurting the bluebird population. This is kind of the damage. They'll poke the eggs and then they'll just throw them out of the nest. So it's we're not sure if this is house wrens or house sparrow, but one of them did that. Now this is called a sparrow spooker. This is at Dogwood Park. And we put the sparrow spooker, John made those with dowels and little strips of mylar. And what we found is if we had a nest where we had problems with wrens, then after the first egg was laid, then we put the sparrow spooker on the top, and the bluebirds don't care. They'll still land on the roof and they'll go in because they've already laid one egg, but the sparrows won't get near. So John has made several of those that we can, use and help you. There's things to do if you have some problems like that. We can protect. So after we put that up, then the bluebirds laid 5 eggs, and they all hatched, and they all, fledged. So it's really nice that there's things we can do. And then this is called a wren guard, and it's basically wrens, like this is at Dogwood Park, and it was in a more of a wooded area where wrens were, and so we had some problems with wrens getting in that box, so we put a guard over. As long as they can't see the hole, we put this cover here, and as long as the wrens can't see the hole, they won't go in. So John's figured out how to. This one's a little too wide for this box, but basically it's something like this where you can attach it and cover the hole, and it'll stay out, both of those. And so what we did is we put it on, and then we stood back and watched the bluebirds make sure they could still figure out how to get in. And so we stood out and maybe watched them for 15 minutes, and they got back in. So.
Both of those techniques are after a bluebird has laid an egg?
Yes,
The one with
yes.
the whirligig and the...
Yeah, the whirligig, just make sure there's one egg.
After,
yeah, make sure there's one egg, and then the wren guard, that one's, you can see it's too close, we have to pull it up a little bit, but it has to be like 2 inches out so the bird can get back in. And the bluebirds kind of flap their wings and they look around, and then pretty soon they figure out how to get up and under it. So as long as they have an egg in there, they're gonna come back. So, I just wanted you to see this picture. This is out in Baxter. Last year we had a first bluebird nest boxes in Baxter, and this was the first little group of, this is the grandmother on the right with her 2 granddaughters. And so that was our first little group of children that were going around to open the boxes. And this is Jeannie Lee on the left. She was introducing me to the family, but they had a great experience last year. There's 4 nest boxes at Dogwood Park, and they would go after school and check the boxes. So that worked out really well. And then Marcia Donovan came to our little workshop last year here at Lunch and Learn, and she started monitoring for us, so she wanted to say a few things.
Mostly, I want to say that if you're interested, you can do it. I was very apprehensive, but Lynn is just a wonderful mentor, leader, and anytime I had a question, I was at a box, you know, there was a hole in an egg, or there was something, and pretty much within an hour, I got a text from either Lynn or John or both of them. So the backup is wonderful, and I would encourage you to participate. I thought when I retired from library storytelling that I would adopt a school and go once a week and do stories. Well, COVID took care of that, and COVID also took care of my other dream of rocking babies at the hospital, which program I don't think they still have reinstated. So I'm rocking Bluebirds and loving it. I just thought maybe I'd show everybody what's in my bag of tricks here. Here's my clipboard with the monitoring sheet, ready to go. Here's a mirror, which will be provided, I think, it has been, so that you can look in, because if the nest is deeper, it's harder to see what's.
You can put it up there, and then you can see.
Right.
Look
So you
down
can
and
actually,
see
you
how
can
many
see the eggs. Trusty Phillips screwdriver. I just keep everything in the bag.
And we give the monitors those too.
Yeah. What?
That,
The screwdriver?
No.
you probably said you had one, but we do give them.
Oh, I
to
didn't
people
know
need
that. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have many. So, and this is to scrape the box out after the nest is finished. After the guys have fledged. Pencil. One other important thing, occasional use, the diatomaceous earth, in case you have ants in your box. This was not something I knew about, but Lynn educated me, and she has a huge container, and I found these little squirty bottles at Dollar General.
Do you put it around or in the box?
Under, and you actually use the little, this little guy, you lift the nest up and then sort of puff this. It's like talcum powder,
And it won't
only
hurt the
it's,
bird.
no, the ants just can't stand it. Baby wipes to also clean the box in once you've, once the nest is no longer in use. A hat to cover up my head. And Bluebird pins, which I'm collecting. So, I think that's about it. It's pretty much, it's totally doable. It's very exciting to be involved in little blue babies' lives and feeling like you're being of help to the community and the state and the country. So, I hope you'll do it.
I'd like to make just a quick comment. She mentioned, using a mirror, which is perfectly, it's a perfect thing to do. But I wanted to mention that these nest boxes are not that high off the ground. I put this on a little Christmas tree stand, so it's in order to bring it in, but when you put the nest box in the ground, it's really only a little over 5 feet high, so, you know, it's certainly the mirrors come in handy, but I just didn't want people to think, well, it's way up there, I can't see it in there anyway, so it's not like that.
I just wanted to show you a couple things. This is a sign that we just purchased, and we're gonna put in some of the public areas of the county where we put the bird boxes. They're double-sided, and John has built a wooden frame slide it in, and then we just have to get permission from the Rick Woods with the city parks, and the county parks to put them up, but it would educate the public that comes and walks the trails and just is around to learn more about bluebirds, but I thought they turned out really, really nice. So we have those, and then, this is, what you get if you join the North American Bluebird Society, which is the national group. They send out a quarterly magazine about bluebirds, and they're always very interesting. This is the winter edition. They have different articles. If you join the Cookeville chapter of Tennessee Bluebird Society, then you are also a member of the Tennessee Bluebird Society. So you get emails from our little local chapter with local news, and then you get a quarterly email newsletter from the state Tennessee Bluebird Society. So that's fun. For your $15, you get a lot of information about bluebirds. I did bring a few things else to show you. This is what we call a chickadee hole reducer. So if you get a chickadee in the box, then we put this on over it, because the chickadees are smaller and they can get in and out, but we don't want a bigger bird to get in there and bother the chickadee eggs. So we've kind of learned, after there's an egg in there for a chickadee, then we put this up and then take it off after they fledge, because we love to get the Carolina chickadees too, but bluebirds will get in there and aggravate them. So these are just some samples of the bluebird nests, and these were abandoned, is why I have them, like maybe something happened to the birds and they never did lay eggs. But it just shows that these are made out of pine needles. It just shows how deep the nest cup is, and pass that around. And then Beth had found one at her house that had had the white eggs in it from a bluebird that was abandoned. So I thought you might like seeing that. And these are, John, I don't know if you want to be the one to tell about the mealworms, but.
Well, these, I am very, very fortunate to have the bluebirds right outside my garage, and they've learned now to, in the morning when I walk outside and in the afternoon, they'll sit on the wire and wait for me to throw these mealworms on the, and they'll swoop. I've had as many as 12 at a time.
Oh,
I bet they would eat out your hands.
I tried that.
You'd have to have a lot of
It has a little
patience.
bowl. It's a little stainless steel bowl, and I've done this.
Right.
And, so far no luck. But these mealworms, these,
Show what they look like.
yeah. So I don't know if anybody can see these little guys, but now these are big ones. These are called giant mealworms. They have a large mealworm that's smaller, that's probably more appropriate for the babies, because this is a pretty, I'm sure a baby could probably swallow it, but it's easier to feed the babies the smaller mealworms, but they're just called large, but they're really small. These are giant mealworms, and then they have one's called a super mealworm. This guy's about this tall, I've seen the bluebird grab him and beat him on the ground. But the best place to get these, this is a 500 count container. They also come in containers of 50 and 100. But the best place that I have found to get these in town is at Petco. They get them every Friday. They're the freshest. They're never without. I've tried PetSmart and Exotic Tropicals, and although they may have them, they may not have them. They may, and if they do, a lot of them are dead inside the container. So Petco's the place to go. And the only thing about feeding these mealworms is everybody else likes mealworms too, especially mockingbirds and starlings, and so you have to be a little careful. You can't just put them out. You can, but
They'll be gone in a second.
it'll be gone in a second, because everybody. I actually bought what's called a Gilbertson Bluebird feeder. You can find them online. Gilbertson's Bluebird feeder, and it is basically a square that's open, on the inside. It's got a top and a bottom, and it's open on the inside with a little bowl in the middle. And there are rods, there's a horizontal rods that go around it. They allow the bluebirds to get in, but they're not big enough to allow a mockingbird. And I've got a mockingbird who loves to come and try to steal them, and he'll fly around and look, and you can't get in. It's really, I love it. But
You're so cruel.
I know I am a cruel.
It's like trying to keep the squirrels away.
But anyways, it's very, it's a lot of fun to feed the mealworms because, and especially when the chicks hatch, they're gonna be busy feeding anything they can. They're, coming and going and coming and going. And if there's a supply of the smaller mealworms, that'll really help. I should also mention that you can feed dehydrated mealworms to the adults, but it's not recommended to feed them, have them used to feed the babies because they're dehydrated and they don't have the fat, they don't have the liquid and so forth. So the dehydrated ones are fine to feed the adults, but when the babies come, we need to swap over to the live ones. So.
What do they eat at King Creek? You probably don't furnish mealworms.
No, only at my house.
Yeah,
You
it's
gotta come to my
about
house.
pretty expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive. King Creek, they're on their own. Yes, Darlene?
Several years ago, before my husband passed away, we did hedgehog rescue. And one of the things that hedgehogs really love is mealworms. And so if you run into a problem getting them here and getting them local to where they're, good and alive and everything, you can also order them from Fluker Farms. And it's like flukerfarms.com. Your postman may think it's a little strange because you'll get a box that's got the little wire around it and it says live on it. So they may think you're strange, but if you ever run into a problem where you can't get them local, you can get them also at Fluker Farms, and they're pretty reasonably priced, but you get quite a large amount of them. But you can get the large ones, the giant ones, the small ones, and then waxworms too. So that's another option.
How do you spell Fluker Farms?
Fluker, Fluker.
One of my friends in the chapter sent me some from Amazon.
Okay.
And I was like, what is this? I opened this bag and there are all these live worms in there. So, but that was a really nice gift. So I had to learn how to work it. This list here, just if you have time to peek at it, is all the locations that we have so far in Putnam County for the parks. We don't have the individuals on here, but it just shows where we are monitoring. This is a Putnam County map, and it kind of shows all the different parks, community centers, where we are now. And we're also expanding to Sparta this year, so we'll have we're gonna deliver their boxes and this week for Carter Street Park and Pearson Park, if anybody's from up that way. Any questions? Any other ideas or thoughts on bluebirds? Yes, Marilyn?
I'm just really worried that they're gonna, that they got my babies I have one good crop and then they kill the other ones.
Yeah.
And I'm just afraid that I don't know what else to do. Keep them from doing
We'll
that.
start by cleaning out the box, make sure the box is empty.
I did.
Then if you get the sticks and the twigs, start sweeping those out, because more than likely it's the wrens there. Sweep out the sticks so they don't build a nest, but once the bluebirds get their nest in there and they have one egg, then we'll get this wren guard on for you. Because we can bring the wren guard, and we can put it on your box, and then after the birds all fledge, then we'll take it off, and you might not have them next time. But that's what we know to do that's the best advice for wrens. The best thing is we try to keep them out from starting,
Well, now the wrens have figured out a really groovy place in my garage. It's right facing this yard, and they can climb up in there and with all these, and I can't knock them out if I have to.
No, you couldn't get them out.
So I just wonder if, I don't know, I'm really hopeful. That's all.
How many times will they nest?
They
a
usually
season?
have at least two but sometimes 3 broods. So
Okay.
the first one will probably be toward the end of March, 1st of April. You'll get your first brood, and then the second one will start sometime the end of May. And then you'll get, you know,
We clean them out every time
just
afterwards.
be sure to clean out as soon as they fledge, clean it out.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll build a nest the next day.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it is just amazing. They are so
Cool.
fast on building the nest. And I know I just checked all my boxes this week, and one of them had a few strands of grass.
Oh.
And that's what happens, the male will put a few strands of grass in the box to see if the female likes that box or not. And so if you get a few strands of grass, then they're checking your box out, you know. But usually it's a little early. I hope they don't start yet because I don't want them to get too cold, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But that's, all the other ones were empty, but this one one of them had a few strands of grass, so. But it goes fast. I mean, they can build the nest overnight just about, and then they start laying that 1 egg a day. You'll see 1 egg a day. So if after the 3rd day you have 3 eggs, and then they don't have another one the 4th day or 5th day, then they're just gonna have those 3 eggs, cause it's always 1 a day.
I have a question. I have bluebirds in my box right now, so should I be looking in there every day? I mean, they just came in the
But
last 3 days.
they're not nesting, right?
I don't know if they are or not, I just see them go in there.
No, they go in and out all the time. They're checking out different areas, so they're probably just checking it out. But if you've cleaned it out from last year, so it's all ready for them, you know, they're
And
feel
then
well.
there were some sticks in there last week, I cleaned them out. and then
How's they go?
Clean the sticks, yeah. Yeah, get the sticks out and hopefully because you've got a good area for bluebirds up there. So, any other questions?
I forgot how far you said we ought to have them apart from each other if we have to know.
100 yards, 100 yards, like think of a football field.
Okay.
So, or like in your house, you could put one in the back and one in the front, you know, cause the house is blocking it, the view. So, that's,
Okay.
any other questions?
How long does this, feed last? Like, you buy for 50 or 500?
I'm sorry.
The mealworms,
The mealworms, do they?
how long do they keep?
Good question. If you keep them in the refrigerator, they'll last a couple of months.
Yeah, but how many do you feed them? I mean,
Oh, well.
how long does 500 last?
Well, mine are pretty greedy.
And
And I have a lot
you
of them,
like
and I
to
love
feed
to
them.
feed them.
Yeah.
You know, so I feed them twice a day. I bet a 500 count, it'll last me about a week to 10 days.
Okay, every Friday.
But I mean, they know, there may be one bird sitting on the wire, and and is watching me put the mealworms inside the little dish. And as I leave to turn around, they'll come from the neighborhood, here they all come.
They're telling each other.
Yeah,
His are trained, his are trained.
Yeah.
But I put mealworms out in a saucer, like on my patio table, and I didn't get any bluebirds there. It was like the Carolina chickadees and the
Right.
titmice and
Right.
you know, but they just didn't come that close, I guess, but John's got his trained.
Well, mine love suet. And so if you know about what time they come to get their suet, maybe you could start feeding them that way. Because they do come to suet.
Mine don't come to my
Oh.
suet either.
Sorry.
I just see them out there getting the worms.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking crazy.
And hanging it
How
out.
is that?
This is
John,
she was just asking what's inside this, but it's just it's a stovepipe, it's a stovepipe.
It's a
2 pair.
6-inch diameter, about 24-inch long piece of ductwork that you can buy at Lowe's. And they snap together, and there's various ways to make a top, but what we found is the most efficient and the best way, in my opinion, is they make a cap, a 6-inch cap for the 6-inch ductwork. So you buy the cap and you have to drill a hole in the top to so it'll slide over the pole. And the way it hangs upon there is I simply drilled a hole across, through the pipe horizontally, and then put a screw in it. So here's the pole, and the screw sits like this, and you just drop it down on that, and there it is.
Very clever.
Does anyone have a camera inside their?
I do. I just took my phone out in the yard to see how far away I could put the house, and it would still reach the signal. So, you know, it was fun watching them. There was a tragedy because I saw what happened in there when they didn't survive, you know, which happens in life, I guess.
Do crows attack?
Well, they can't, they're so big, they can't get in the hole, but I don't know out
Once they
when
start
they're
to
on the
learn to
ground
fly.
if they can get them,
Yeah.
you know. Have you had problems?
I had a wood house and I had a nest inside of something and I could hear them, and then a crow flew in and it was silent and.
You know, something happened to them. Survival of the fittest, I guess.
Yes.
We do the best we can, don't we? So, any other questions? I don't know the time, how we're doing the time.
All right, well, that's fine. Well, if that's all the questions we have today, thank you so much for being with us. And if you want to see any of this information over again, it is on our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel for the Putnam County Library. And thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.